All right, well, welcome everybody to One-on-One with Jeff Shore, and I'm joined now by my colleague and good friend, Melinda Brody, and I'm so excited because right now, if you can see Melinda on the screen, you can probably see over her left shoulder a poster for a phenomenal book that she has written, that I have read and thoroughly enjoyed, called They Said What? And we're going to get into that in just a moment, but before we do that, hi Melinda, how are you?
Hi Jeff, I'm awesome. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. And let me ask you: you're in the business of mystery shopping. You've got a big mystery shop company, something that's we have a little opportunity here to sort of peek behind the curtain a little bit. Tell us first, how you got into that. What was your interest in it? Give us a little of the start of the Melinda Brody story there.
Absolutely. Being a trainer for a large property management company, part of my assignment with my class was to mystery shop leasing agents. And then at that time in the late 80s in Orlando, all the big builders came to town. So kind of just as a side thing, I started shopping apartments and home builders. I was the shopper. I go out and write my report and come back. And then, of course, the rest is history. Everything exploded in Florida. I got very busy. I quit my job, became a shopping company.
Yeah.
I quit my job October 10th, 1986.
Yeah. And no looking back, and you've done a great job. Let's talk about shopping in general, because this is something that's very controversial to a lot of people. There are some people who really see the benefit, some who just absolutely hate it. What do you think some of the misconceptions or problems are that people have with mystery shopping?
I think people don't like to be caught off guard.
Yeah.
And what I would say to everybody is, if you think it's a shopper, you suspect something's up, just give it your best shot. Just do everything you can to do a great job.
Yeah.
You're on stage all the time with a customer, and put all the nervousness and what am I going to look like on film past you, because here's an opportunity for a fake customer to give you feedback.
Right.
A real customer, their feedback is they're going to buy from someone else. So
Got it. That makes sense. In order to maximize this, you put together your benchmark study. Talk a little bit about what that is and what it does.
Absolutely. Last year we shopped 59 builder divisions. We did over 1,200 shops, and I thought it'd be very helpful as an added value to let clients know how they scored against other companies. Everybody seems to have a proprietary scorecard, which we recommend. So we pulled out 6 questions that everybody has. Was the shopper registered? Were they shown a model and a demonstration? Did they demonstrate a home site? Did they sell the builder? Did they ask for the sale? And did they follow up? And we benchmark those questions across the board. Everybody loves getting that information to see how they rate.
Sure.
Not only internally with their own company, but how did we do across the board with other national companies and small and mid-sized builders as well.
What do you recommend for people who sort of get hung up on the score? Because they're going to get shopped and then they're going to get a score. And I think you and I we've never talked about this, but my guess is that you and I are going to be at the same page. The purpose of the shop is not get a good score. The purpose of the shop is to evaluate what we could improve. It's a training tool more than an evaluation tool. So how do you approach that in regards to the hang up on the score?
Well, I always tell my clients, and most of them do adhere to this, don't just shop one time. If you shop one time, it's not fair.
Yeah.
Everybody has a bad day, and that's just not a fair evaluation. But if you can, again, put your ego aside and take out the self-consciousness and say, how can I really learn from this experience? Everything is on video. The beauty of it is it's not my shopper's opinion of how you did.
Right.
It's exactly how you did. So if you can kind of not be defensive about it, which is human nature. We all feel a little self-conscious and defensive. Say to yourself, how can I do a better job? What can I learn from this?
Right.
Instead of tearing it up.
Yeah.
And successful salespeople welcome a video shop.
Right.
And you work with a lot of them.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see kind of how that works. And I think that is really the dividing line. Do I see this as a tool or do I see it as a weapon? I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. But it's ironic that I suppose it could be seen as a weapon if you're looking at it the wrong way. It's ironic because it's arguably the most powerful tool that we would have for self-improvement. One of the things that I find interesting, just when I talk to you, Melinda, is the fact that I consider myself to be a student of the sale, and I try and observe that sales presentation as much as I can. But I got nothing on you, because you observe that presentation all day, every day. I mean, I'm sure you lost count of the actual number a long time ago. But oh my goodness, how many different sales presentations have you seen? I tell us a little about your. We'll get into the book in a moment, but just in regards to your perspective, I mean, you got to have stories to tell that will go on for years.
Well, like I wrote volume 1. I mean, I probably have 20 more volumes in my head. I just celebrated 27 years, and I have seen absolutely everything that just would be shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, but I've also seen stellar presentations. I remember a few years back, one of my shoppers actually bought a home in Florida because the sales presentation was so awesome. I mean, she bought a home.
Yeah.
She didn't go out to buy a home. She went out as a shopper and came back with a contract.
Right.
So it's not all bad news, but it's always such an interesting experience to see what is really going on, because this is really the vibe that we get in the field by going out with an undercover hidden camera to see really how does a customer experience your homes and your community, and how trained are your salespeople. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have someone like yourself, Jeff, and they have a very great training program, that's great. And if you don't have a training program, you can see the need for one, because the process is what I call product-driven, not prospect-driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say most people that don't have a good training program, that's what we see.
Mm-hmm. When the book would have been fascinating alone if it was just nothing but stories from what you've seen in shops over the years. And I got to tell you, for those of you who are watching this right now, oh my goodness, some of these stories will just blow you away. But you take the extra effort to look at it and say, well, it's not just about what the stories, but it's also about what the stories teach us. It's not just about these quirky, weird stories over here. You've observed enough really, really great presentations to be able to figure out what does the best of look like. When you're watching shop tapes, do you learn more from the horrible presentations or from the great presentations?
Wow. Well, I learned a lot from the horrible of what to avoid.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I saw one this morning. The person got 100.
Yeah.
And I watched it twice, and I just sat there, and I'm like, okay, I'm buying a house. I'm coming to California. It was so textbook perfect.
Right.
Natural, smooth, just awesome.
Right.
And I'm like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well, now, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Because if I'm a cynic on this one, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, well, maybe that person got 100, but I'll tell you why. She knew she was being shopped. That's why. She knew she was being shopped. How do you respond to that idea that, well, you know what, sometimes you just know you're being shopped?
I'd say the smart ones, if they pick up a vibe, number one, they're never 100%. They might suspect. They really never know 100%. The smart ones bring it out. Mm-hmm. They do their best work. They don't say anything to their manager. Mm-hmm. And if the manager comes back and goes, wow, you just blew everybody away with your score, you're like, hey, that's what I do all the time.
Right.
It's the defensive, insecure salespeople that have to raise their hand and go, hey, that's a shopper. I knew I was being shopped. Why on earth would you ever say that?
Right.
I mean, I just think that's crazy.
Yeah.
So it becomes a recorded role play.
Right.
Aren't we all happy to see that you can do what you're asked to do, which is take the training and duplicate it in the real world?
Mm-hmm.
Because you spend so much effort learning a process. If you can't do it with a real customer, which ends up being a shopper, then it's not really effective. And the bottom line is it really effective with a real person?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you should say that, because when this conversation comes up for me with salespeople, one of the things that I point out is, even if you were 100%, and I agree with you, you never know 100%. As a salesperson, I've been shopped many times. There were times when I suspected, but I never knew 100%. But even theoretically, if I did, I make the point here, it doesn't matter. You can't turn on skills that you never had just because you think you're being shopped. It's ridiculous to look at it and say, well, of course they got a good shop. They knew they were being shopped. Well, what are you going to do? Try and turn something on that you had never practiced? I mean, what I'm seeing is the best of what that salesperson has already done. If you're not, just make sure, one clarity on the book, you're not naming names in the book, are you?
Well, you'll just have to buy the book and find out. So I'm not giving away any secrets here, Jeff. Come on.
Okay, you got to tease us though. Give us a great story. Give us a great story. Give us something from the book where you look at it and you say, this one you'll just never forget. It's the most bizarre thing you've seen or heard in a shop.
Okay, can I give you 2 quick ones?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, here's one. This is exactly from the video. I didn't edit any of this. This is my shopper saying, I arrived at the community at 10 a.m. The agent wasn't there. I drove around the community and returned at 10:15 a.m. The agent greeted me and said, were you here yesterday? I said I was, but I saw he was busy with others and I decided to come back today. And he said, yeah, I'm running a little late and slow today. I got ripped last night on too many beers. I probably shouldn't have even driven myself to work today. Okay.
Ouch. Ouch.
Right. Here's another doozy.
Yeah.
And every chapter I start off with one of these doozies. My husband asked the sales agent what the community had to offer. The sales agent, while seated on the couch, threw his arms back and said, absolutely, absolutely nothing. Meaning the community had absolutely nothing to offer. He did zero to sell the community. Instead, he told us about another builder community and emphasized how much better that community was. He said the homes were $20,000 cheaper there for the same models.
Unbelievable. I think I know that guy.
What's that?
I think I know that guy. That's really scary. All right. Hey, listen. I've read the book. I've loved the book. And again, not only is it a fun read, but you really do take the time to say, hey, listen, I've seen the best of the best. Here's what you need to know. So the book reads as something of a checklist for professional salespeople to look at it and say, how am I stacking up? What can I improve on? What can I do better? Where do we get the book? How do we order the book, Melinda?
Just go to my website, www.melindabrody.com, Brody, and just click on the book.
Great.
That's easy.
All right. There you go. The great Melinda Brody. Thanks, Melinda, for your time. I appreciate it so much.
Jeff.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks.
Take care.